Hey MIG-Toes and my fellow mechanics. I'm just making a note in case somebody's looking for inspiration if you're working on a Cummins ISL engine, CM2250 ECM, and the ECM just pops fuses. You know, the ECM power supply just completely blows every time you turn the key switch on. I was at first thinking that it was just a bad ECM. That's usually what happens. But I discovered after doing a little searching, I basically discovered that it was the variable geometry turbocharger actuator that was the problem. I could have just thrown an ECM at it, but it probably would have popped breakers again. So I thought I would start unplugging other things that are connected to that ECM, and I pulled the first I pulled the OEM connector, and it was then of course the fuse didn't blow. Then I plugged it back in and unplugged the engine harness, and that stopped it, right? And then I tried plugging in like the first part of the engine. The engine harness has two big plugs on it, and plugged in one of them and it popped it, plugged in the other and it didn't. And I started looking at things downstream of that. I think it was the number one engine harness connector, and it turned out that the injectors and the VGT actuator and a couple other things like the sensors on things like low oil pressure, low coolant, things like that were connected. And it's really easy to unplug the VGT actuator, so I started with that. That stopped the fuse blowing. So I went ahead and changed the VGT actuator. Not terribly easy on that application, and that fixed the problem. So what I'm going to do is put tags on this video for my fellow mechanics who are doing Google searches for, you know, any info if you run into this problem. I didn't find anything on Google, so maybe whoever finds this video will have done a search like I did, and maybe you'll actually get some help. So check the VGT actuator later. Oh, and don't get married.